You feel like at this point you haven't said goodbye because you still got to do revisions and rewrites, and then you'll have to go out and talk about it and promote it and everything.
Mhm.
Do you foresee a point where you're going to say goodbye to Rosie in this world permanently, or is this just a little bit of a conclusion, and then maybe we come back and we explore a little more later?
No, I don't. I think this is it. I feel pretty certain. It's funny because Maybird, that trilogy I wrote 20 years ago, and I still every once in a while think, okay, we're gonna go back. Like I'm gonna go back and visit Maybird. I feel like there may still be one more story there, but no, at 13 Witches, I think. Well, you never know. You never know. I do have some thoughts for like a little spin-off thing, but we'll see. We'll see.
Well, even if you never write Maybird 4, just having your characters in your mind and knowing that there are possibilities or imagining what might be happening to them, that's its own little reward.
It's so true. I know. And it's funny because the first book event I ever did for Maybird, which was, I was just so excited to get to do a book event. And it was, this was a long time ago. And this little girl came up to me and asked about one of the characters, Somber Kitty, who's Maybird's cat, who's a big character in the story. And she was asking me all these questions about Somber Kitty's life after the stories, as if Somber Kitty was still like living. And I just that was one of the most satisfying moments I've ever had as a writer, because I loved that Somber Kitty lived on for her. And I mean, they definitely do for me. I wonder about them a lot, as if they're real people that I'm thinking, how are they doing? That's definitely there. And it is like a privilege, to have that, to live with that.
I shouldn't talk much about it because it's very early on, but I've started a draft for a story because I wrote a series that I thought, well, the way this ends, there's no way there could ever be a sequel. And then years later, like, that feels like a challenge. I bet there could be, though.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But I just don't like the thought of never, no, never, ever, ever. No, I think maybe there could be.
Yeah. Do you feel those attachments as well? Like, do your characters live on in your mind?
Oh,
Yeah.
even if in most cases, if I really feel strongly, I'll just sit down and write. Like, there will be another Banneker Bones probably eventually. There's no rush because I've just finished the trilogy and it's good for a moment. But at some point, I think about him frequently. I hear the call of whatever that is, that whatever the muse is that pulls you in, like, hey, this direction. Not today, but maybe a year from now, maybe a couple of years from now, maybe a decade from now, you'll be back.
Yeah.
Even if that's not true, it's still nice just to have that feeling that I could go back.
Right. Totally. It's like having a friend who like lives overseas or something. Like, you don't know if you'll get to see them again, but you're always going to live with that hope, that you get to be together again at some point.
Are you able to sit down and like pick up Maybird and reread it, and without knowing that you can't change anything, and just enjoy it as a book?
I have not. I think for the first probably 10 years after a book, that's like a hard no, because I just see the flaws, which I'm sure is a pretty common experience. But I would say now I could. I think this many years later, for some reason, it's harder for me to listen to the audiobooks. For some reason, it's more embarrassing to me. Maybe because they're coming more to life or something. I'd say if enough time passes, then I can go back. But yeah, it's really hard for the first few years. And it's funny because I don't know if you have this experience, but like, you work so hard on a book, and then it comes and you have your moment of like, yes, it came in the mail and it's printed and this is so exciting. And then the next day I'm kind of like, okay, I'm gonna just put it up there. And like, there's something uncomfortable about thinking about it too much as like being a real book. Maybe it's partly that we have to move on, to the next thing.
I do have the problem when I start a new book. somewhere around chapter 4 or 5, when I'm into it, but I'm not that far in, I'll find myself opening up the last book that I finished and rereading parts of it because it's done. It's so beautiful. I don't have to worry about anything.
Oh my gosh, you totally. That is actually so true. I until you said it, I didn't realize you did that. I totally do that too. Because you're like, oh, this is so nice. Like it's these paragraphs are actually
edited.
yeah. That is so funny. That is
How
so
am I going to resolve this story problem? Nailed it. It's done. Not a problem.
totally. And I'm often like, who wrote this? Like, it's me.